Are you a list person? I personally love lists and I love writing things. I love organizing the data. I love creating the spreadsheets to organize the data. It's just like I love creating lists of any kind. However, I created to do lists for years in my personal life, and sometimes they were really effective because I was feeling really motivated and I just cruised right through checking things off all day and feeling really productive. However, on the days I wasn't feeling super motivated, that list just felt daunting. And it only got longer and longer the more I stared at it because I would continue adding to it because I knew things had to get done, but I just kept hoping for the motivation to get started on the list, but I just didn't feel like it. So it would continue to grow, and that can be pretty disheartening and make you feel really lazy because you feel like you're always trying to catch up on this never ending list because it often grows faster than we can get things checked off. But what if I told you that I have found a way to basically eliminate a generic to do list and create a different system to get things done? Even my list loving self loves this method and it works. And I want to share it with you. So I have talked about this in the past, but I feel like it's a good time to share it again because you don't have to feel like you're failing to keep up on all the things on your to-do list. You just need a little bit better system to organize those tasks. So you're going to want to grab a pen and paper for this one and let's get into it. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. Now, if you're a list person like I am, you're going to naturally want to fight against this a little bit because you might be like, I need to create a list and I need to check things off. It makes me feel good and all the things. And I totally get it, but I want you to hear me out because when I create a list and I'm checking things off, I also feel really good. However, on the days that I am not feeling as motivated or getting as many things checked off, then how do you feel? Because for me, I don't feel real great. And when I have kind of shifted how I have been doing my like generic to-do list and I don't have that generic to-do list anymore, I actually feel much better. I feel more productive. I still technically get to write a list. It's just a different concept. It's not in the same type of format as a typical to-do list that you'd think about, but you're still getting the opportunity to write these things down. So I want you to just give this a try and see how it works for you. Test it out. If you hate it, just go back to your generic to-do list. Like that's totally fine. But when you take the time to try it this way and actually give it a fighting chance, give it some time to get used to it, to make some adjustments that work for you and just try it, you might find that this is the method that makes you feel like you can like tackle everything, you can still get things done and you're not feeling overwhelmed with the never ending to do list. So I just wanted to say that right off the bat so that you do give this a chance, even if you are a list person and it scares you to get rid of a to do list. So the main thing that you want to do when you are kind of going through your to-do list and maybe you have one right now that you have going, and if you do then go grab it because this could be helpful when you are writing out these other things, because if it's already on your list then you know it needs to get done. But basically when you are creating this system to work for you, you really need to know what you're going to do, when you want to do it, how long it will take approximately, and how often it actually needs to be done. Because when you really think about it, if you have anything on your to do list, your generic to do list, that is a daily or a weekly recurring task, it shouldn't need to be on the to do list anymore. And the reason I say this is because that is what can tend to overwhelm us because it's all these things that need to be done. And I know if you're anything like me, I have been told many times by not a professional, but by other people, and I believe myself that I'm pretty sure that I have some form of ADHD. And I have a tendency to kind of go squirrel brain or I get really distracted all the time. And if I don't write, or at the time when I was doing a generic to do list, if I didn't write the daily and weekly tasks that needed to be done, I would forget about them. And I needed to write them down. Plus, it gave me like that, you know, feel good moment of being able to check it off the list. So I get it. But when we are trying to simplify things and we're trying to take out the overwhelm, we actually want to reduce these lists. And when it's a daily or a weekly recurring task, we want to have a system in place where those things are getting done, we're remembering to do them, and we don't actually need to put it on this task list because then if our task list is short, we're more likely to accomplish it. So it all works together and it all works really well, and I'm just hoping that you give it a shot. So the I'll go through the list, and you, like I said, you want a pen and paper because this is going to be a lot of things you're writing down and figuring out, and it might take a little bit of time in the beginning, but it is so worth it at the end. So I am going to be sharing several different episodes that you can go back to and listen to if you would like. You don't need to, but they might help support some of the things that I'm talking about. If you're like new here, or if you're just listening and you're like, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, I need more help in this area, these episodes will help in these specific areas. So, we're going to talk about how to eliminate your generic to do list and still get things done. So, number one, I want you to take your piece of paper and I want you to divide it into three columns. So at the top, I want you to write daily, weekly, and monthly. And then I want you to take some time to brain dump all of the tasks you can think of. So under daily, you might say unload and load the dishwasher, do a load of laundry, sweep the floors, make the beds, make coffee, like whatever it is for your daily tasks, things you do pretty much every day, write those in that column. Under weekly, you might have pay bills, take garbage down to the end of the driveway for pickup, water the plants, create a meal plan, weekly planning for the upcoming week. Anything like that, anything you do on a weekly basis, you're going to put in that column. And then under monthly, it might be something more like wash the bed sheets. If and you know, if you don't follow the, I think you're supposed to wash them like every week, but if you're doing that, you're amazing. I definitely don't do that. I probably should. But like so in monthly, it's like wash the bed sheets, sweep out the porch, drop off the donation box, things like that. So you want to just put all of your daily, weekly, and monthly tasks that you can think of that are recurring in this on this paper. And then you're going to move to number two when you feel like you have a pretty good list going for all of these and you have it pretty solid. You're going to move to number two where you are going to brainstorm where you can combine your daily tasks to create a simple routine. And this is where the routines get really cool because if we are repeating these things over and over, instead of going into our day just knowing that all these things have to get done and feeling a little scattered on when you're going to do them, or like trying to, you know, spend your time the most efficiently, we're just going to take care of that ahead of time. So when you are looking at that list of daily tasks that I mentioned, maybe you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, I can get up and I can make the bed right away. And then I can come downstairs in the kitchen and start the coffee. And then while that's brewing, I can go put in a load of laundry and unload the dishwasher. And then it should be done and the coffee should be ready. And then I can sit down for my, personal morning routine, something like that. So maybe it's like a morning prep routine that you're putting together. And if you are condensing these into an efficient time frame, and that is going to, take you a shorter amount of time than just randomly making the bed and then coming down and making your coffee while you're scrolling on your phone, and then you realize that you have laundry excuse me, that you have laundry to put in, and then, oh, I haven't unloaded the dishwasher yet and dishes are starting to pile up from breakfast, so now I need to go unload the dishwasher, and you just feel like you're kind of trying to keep up. We don't want that. We want to get ahead of the game. So maybe this is a new morning prep routine that helps you get all these things done in an efficient way. And then you can start your day in a really good way. And you've got all these things done already. So that's what you're kind of looking at. You're looking at all of your daily tasks and you are seeing how you can combine them into a simple routine. And this is something that you can repeat daily because these are your daily tasks. So think about which tasks make the most sense to combine. And you might find that not all of them can be combined well for you, and that's okay. You can try what you need to. You can have some standing out if you need them to, but see what you can condense into a routine and then try it. And if you need to make some tweaks, you have permission to do that. Like you just want to get something in place to test first. Another example with those daily tasks is maybe your before lunch routine is that before lunch, you go through your home tasks that are on your daily list and you switch that load of laundry to the dryer. You go through and you sweep all the floors and you do any other tasks that are on that list that you want to complete every day. This is probably very similar if you have not gotten your daily 7 home routine set up yet. This is a really great time to go through that daily 7 home routine and have something like this in place because on episode 5, you can go through how to build a daily 7 home routine. In episode 23, I walk you through my personal daily 7 home routine in case you want to just copy mine instead of start from scratch. And then you can just tweak mine to adjust to what you need yours to be and to make it work for you. And then episode 38 will help you to know what a trigger task is, especially if you're feeling pretty unmotivated a lot of times. Like that is going to help you when you're looking at getting these types of things done. So, those are some episodes that will help if you want to go back and listen to those. But basically, you are just brainstorming where you can combine tasks into a simple routine in this step. And then number 3 is you are going to plug these routines into your day stack. And if you are not familiar with this yet, then you're going to want to go back to episodes 34 and 67 if you need a little more help with this. But basically, what you are looking at is how your day flows. And I personally love keeping my day stack first in my Google Calendar. I walk you through that in previous episodes, and I'm going to have something a little bit more tangible and visual coming up, which I'm really excited about, but more to come later on that. But basically, you are looking at building your day stack or how your day flows. And you can do this in a Google Calendar or you can do it in a paper planner. For me, just a quick little overview if you are new here, I prefer to do it in a Google Calendar first. Everything that gets scheduled into my Google Calendar. And then I only use my paper planner on Fridays when I sit down to schedule the next week. Then I start pulling in all of the information that I need in my weekly planning process. But I'm taking everything from my Google Calendar first because I love that you can plug in time chunks in the Google Calendar and you can rearrange them as needed because things do come up. That's just life. So when you are plugging in these time chunks, so like if you have that morning prep routine and you think it's going to take about 20 minutes to do that, coffee, laundry, dishwasher morning prep routine, then you can do a 20-minute block in the day on the Google Calendar. And then if it doesn't work because it runs into, a morning appointment or something like that, you can adjust really easily. You can just kind of drag and drop where it goes and how you need to adjust it. So if you typically will do your morning prep routine at 7:30 a.m. and you have an 8 a.m. morning appointment, then you're probably going to want to take some time to get ready and things like that so it's not pushing up against it where one day you might have to drag it a little bit earlier and get those things done at, 6:30 or 6:45 to start that little 20-minute morning prep routine so that it's done and you can still get it done so that you're prepared for the rest of the day and you're not feeling like you're falling behind by the time you get home from that appointment. So it's really easy to drag and drop or restack things if you need to. And that's why I call it a day stack, because it's just really easy to make sure everything is stacked the way that you need it to, and you're not double booking yourself anywhere, but you're still making time for those routines or those things that are important to you, like your personal priorities. So that is what I like to do. So this is the step where you really go and you take those routines that you just created and you plug them into your day stack where you think that they will fit best and about how long those will take. So this is the time that you do that. And like I said, I personally prefer the Google Calendar for this to start. And then when I sit down to do my weekly planning, that's when I start to transfer things to my paper planner to really get a good sense of everything that's going to go on in my week, including my day stack and my priorities, my habits, my like my priority tasks, I should say, my habits, my things like that. So that is what I personally like to do, but you have to find what works best for you. Then we're going to move to step 4. And this is just where you're going to repeat this for your daily tasks and your weekly tasks. So once you get all of your weekly or your daily tasks done and get them combined where you want them, how long they will take, and what you can do together to create a simple and effective routine, you're going to go through this process with the weekly tasks as well. So then once you are doing that, or once you're done doing that, then you're going to plug them into your calendar as a recurring routine. So when you are plugging these into your Google Calendar, the one thing that I really love doing is if you find a really good time to get these things done, like say Monday morning for that morning prep routine is always going to be usually at 6:30, you can just plug it in at 6:30 and then you can do recurring and make it every Monday at 6:30 a.m. and then it's going to automatically fill that in for the rest of the year if you have no end date on it. Then, like, say Tuesday is the morning where you have to do things at, say 6 a.m. I think I'm changing the times. I think I started a little different, but you know what I'm talking about. Say you need to do it a little bit earlier on Tuesdays because you have a recurring appointment on Tuesday mornings. Then you know that on Tuesdays it needs to start a little bit earlier so you can make those adjustments and do it as a recurring task on Tuesdays for a little bit earlier of a time frame. And then you can just do this throughout your week and it makes it super easy. So then on the weekly tasks, when you're plugging in these routines that you have created to be a recurring weekly task, then you have it plugged in on whatever day works best for that task to be completed generally. And then you can set it up as a recurring task, say on, Thursdays at 2 p.m. And then when it recurs, and then when you sit down to actually plan out your week, you can drag and drop and readjust things as needed, but you still have them plugged in. So you're not going to forget, and you can just restack those days if needed or bring it to a different day if it's going to work best because something came up on that Thursday. It's totally customizable, but this is allowing you to get those time blocks plugged in so that you can make sure that these things are getting done and you're making it a priority. So when you are doing this, you can also think about using the description box in the Google Calendar. So when you're setting something up like these routines, you always have an option to add a description. And if you're new to building a routine and making it a habit, then you might find that it will be easy to plug in the description to say what you're planning on doing. So, for instance, if you were plugging in that morning prep routine, then you're going to want to plug in the description that you will make the bed, start the coffee, put in a load of laundry, unload the dishwasher, then pour your coffee for your morning routine. So that would be your morning prep routine. And then you can put that in the description. So when it does pop up on your calendar, you can remember, like, oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to do in this order. And you can just go do it. So it makes it super easy. And then once you have that done for your daily tasks and your weekly tasks, we are now going into step 5. And this is when you are going to sit down and you plan out your week. Now, you can do this today and do it for the upcoming week, or you can decide when you want to do your weekly planning because this should be a recurring task in your calendar because this is super, super important. I think I heard recently that you're 40% more likely to get something done if you write it down. And I thought that was super interesting. I don't know where that stat came from, so don't quote me on that. That's just a little side note. And that is one of the things like I love doing my weekly planning because I need to see my whole week and I am much more productive when I can actually sit down and plan it out and write it out and I feel more prepared so I don't feel as stressed going into the week ahead. And I know a lot of people do this on like a Sunday. I personally prefer not to do it on a Sunday. I like my Sundays to be as open as possible. I like my whole weekend to be as open as possible. So I prefer to do my weekly planning on a Friday morning during my morning routine. So that has become my morning routine ritual to do it on Friday mornings. Now, do I do it every Friday morning? No, I don't because life is life and that doesn't always work. However, that is my plan, that is my goal, and if I need to adjust it, I do. But the default is always going to be on those Friday mornings if I can do them. Now, when you sit down to plan your week, and if you need help on knowing like what to really do, I have episode 104 to walk you through like what I do for weekly planning, but you're just sitting down to review your schedule. So this is a good time to pull up that Google Calendar, readjust anything that needs to be readjusted based on things that have been added to your calendar or just like the layout. This is a good time to review like is this the flow of this day going to work well if it goes as planned. And obviously, it doesn't always go as planned, but we can do the best we can to prepare as best we can. So, you're going to review that schedule and make any adjustments as needed, restack that day in any way that you need to. And then you're also going to be looking for open time blocks for those monthly tasks that we had written down. So, this is where you can see if you can have open time blocks somewhere or if you can shift things around to create open time blocks. So if you know that, Wednesdays at 4 p.m., you have a good chunk between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. before you start dinner, that you have a full hour that you can get some things done that are on your monthly task list. Or maybe this is on, a Friday morning or a Monday afternoon. Like, what are good times that you can get some of your monthly tasks done so that you can plug those in and then you can set that time aside to get those additional tasks done that aren't daily or weekly tasks. Now, as you do this, you are also going to go into step 6 and you're going to review that monthly task list to see what you can do for that particular week. Now, because it's a monthly list, you aren't going to want to plug in all of your monthly tasks on one week because you don't need to. They're monthly, so we need to spread those out throughout the month so that it's not overwhelming for you. So, this is a good time to review that monthly task list and pick just a few things from that list to become your priority tasks for the week. And then you can plug them into those time blocks that you had just created in step 5. So if you are trying to figure out how many you need to choose, basically you just kind of want to divide it up. So if you find that you have 12 things that you want to get done in, this month and there are 4 weeks throughout the month, then you know that you need to do 3 tasks from that monthly task list each week to stay on track with your goals to get all of these things done. It makes it so much easier rather than looking at this giant list and seeing all these things that you need to do. It's like, if I just pull 3 of them, I can totally do 3 of them. And so then you're just making sure that you have that plugged in on your calendar on when you're going to complete these things so that it actually gets done. And if you are needing to readjust some things, then go ahead and readjust it. But a lot of times we look at things and we make them way more daunting and a much bigger deal than they actually are. But when we break it down and create these little steps and actually take the time to plug in and prepare ahead of time, these tasks become so much more doable and it makes it a lot easier to get things done. So once you do that, oh, and before I move on, if you want to go back and listen to an episode, I call it something like an annual task list. And if you have not done this yet, this might be really helpful when you're creating this monthly task list because you might find that there are things that you're going to be doing in January, and then you're going to have a kind of a different set of things that you want to do in July. So if you are kind of thinking about this and it's like, well, I don't do something every month, but it's several times throughout the year or it's just once a year and I just don't want to forget about it, an annual task list is going to be a lifesaver for you. So then if you end up doing the annual task list, it kind of eliminates the need for this monthly task list. You can just take your brain dumped items and put them into your annual task list. And if you go back and listen to the episode, it'll make a lot more sense. But it's a way to schedule out your all of those other big tasks that you don't want to forget about that generally will go on a generic to-do list, but this is just planning ahead and kind of figuring out when you want to do these things, and it just makes it super easy. And then when you're doing your weekly planning, you can just go to this list and pull the few things that you want to create as your priority for that week, and it just makes it super simple. So if you want to go and learn about the annual task list, then you'll go to episode 48 to do that. So, once you are done doing your monthly tasks and picking a couple from that list to become your priority tasks for the week, then you're going to go to step 7. And this is where you have a plan for any additional random tasks that pop up that you want to complete, because you are probably going to find that not all of the things that you need to get done are in that weekly, or I'm sorry, daily, weekly, or monthly or annual list. There are going to be random things that pop up with your kids, with work, with just in general. It's like, oh, shoot, yeah, I need to run and get this random thing because I didn't have a chance to do that. And, or you need to pick up some gifts that are coming up for a birthday party that's next weekend. So it's those random things that are going to pop up that are not always on your list, and you want to have a plan for these. So instead of just creating a to-do list that all of a sudden, becomes kind of a nightmare mess that is never ending again and getting into back into the old habits, we want to have a plan in place. So what I like to do is I have my weekly spread now at this point because I have sat down and created my weekly plan. So I've got my day stacks and I know how my week is going to flow or what I'm hoping it's going to flow as. I have my time plugged in for my priority tasks that I'm pulling from the monthly. I have my daily and my weekly routines plugged in and blocked time on for those. But now when I have these random tasks pop up, I can plug those in on the day I want to complete them. So I usually keep blank spot at the top of my page on my weekly planner, and then I'll plug in just kind of more of those random tasks. So it's still sort of like a task list, and I'll do a little checkbox and everything, but it's very minimal. So usually it's like one, maybe two tasks that are on a day. And some days I don't have any because everything is within the actual day that I have planned out. And it just makes it so easy. So when you have those plugged in, then you can decide when is a good time to get that done on that day. So is it something that you can pick up when you're on your way to do something else? Is it something that you need to actually schedule time for? And if you do, then you can go ahead and readjust your day stack to make it work and make it fit. But this is a good time to just plug those other things in. So what you end up with is that you end up eliminating the need for this running to-do list. You don't feel like you're overwhelmed and trying to keep up constantly because you have everything prepared. You know what you need to do, you know when you need to do it, you know about how long it will take, you know how often it needs to be done, and you have a plan for all of the random things that might pop up throughout the week. And that is how you eliminate the to do list and you still get things done. And it feels so good. And even if you're a list person, you are going to feel so accomplished because If you are like, I just need to check off the list, go ahead and check off the routine on your on your plan. If you have a weekly planner, then go ahead and check those things off as you complete them. You're still getting to have that motion of checking things off and getting things done. Just check your day off as you go through it, and that hopefully will give you that sense of pride to be able to check things off as you're feeling productive. But this is a way to not have to wait to feel productive. You can just get things done because you have already prepared, you've already planned for it, you know when it needs to be done, and you can just go through your day and do it. And you are going to feel like you are on top of the world because you're actually getting things done and you don't feel overwhelmed. It is so good. So I want you to do this and just try it. And like I said, if you absolutely hate it, go back to the way you were doing things before, but give it a good shot. And I promise you that you will learn so much about yourself. So let's do a really quick recap for you on those 7 steps to eliminate the to do list and still get things done. Is number one, you want to divide a piece of paper into 3 columns of daily, weekly, and monthly, and then brain dump all of the tasks that you do. Number two, you are going to brainstorm where you can combine these tasks to create a simple routine for your daily tasks. Then you're going to plug these routines into your day stack. Like I said, I prefer a Google Calendar, but if you need to use a paper planner for this, you can do that as well. Number four, you're going to repeat this process for all of the daily tasks once you go through them. And then you are also going to repeat it for your weekly tasks. You want to know when you want to do them, about how long it will take, and what can you combine to make a simple and effective routine. And then you're going to make sure that you're plugging those into your calendar as a recurring routine. And if you need to, then plug it in the description to keep you on track with what you're actually supposed to accomplish in that time frame. Then you're going to move to step 5. And this is where you are going to sit down to plan your week, or make sure it's a recurring task to sit down and plan your week and give yourself the time you need to prepare for the week ahead. This is where you're going to review your schedule. You're going to see if you need to make any adjustments or restack your day in any way that you need to. You're also going to look for open time blocks for any of those monthly or annual tasks, or if you need to shift things to create any open space. And I just want to make a note here too that you're wanting to make sure that you plug in anything that is important to you as your personal priorities. So if family time is a priority for you, make sure at this time when you're sitting down to plan out your weekly plan that you're not just filling your time with all the to dos and the routines. Like, make sure you're leaving time for the things that are important to you, like going for a bike ride, getting outside, doing those things, spending time with family, all of that stuff. This is a good time to make those adjustments. And then you're going to move to step 6, which is to review those monthly tasks and pick a few from your list, or your monthly list or your annual task list, and pick a few that are going to become your priority tasks for the week that you're going to accomplish in those time blocks that you just created for those tasks. And then you're going to move to step 7, which is to have a plan as additional tasks pop up. So as those random tasks pop up, you're going to want to know where you're going to plug them in, when you're going to complete them, and have just kind of a system of what you're going to do rather than just defaulting to the to-do list. How are you going to do that? Are you going to plug them into the column on the side where you're going to put them with your priority tasks? Or are you going to actually plug them in on the specific day that you want to complete them, so that you can actually plug in the time of when you're going to complete it to keep you on track and to keep it scheduled? Those are things that you're going to want to think about, and just have a plan for when those random tasks pop up. So, this helps you to eliminate the need for a running to do list, and you can actually get things done without feeling like you have a never ending list to try and keep up with. So, I hope this was helpful for you and that it wasn't too much at once. But if you just go through the steps and just pause the episode at each step and do the specific step that you're going through, then you're going to work your way through and you're going to feel so accomplished by the time you get to the end of it. And you're going to have a good system and plan set up to actually get things done without feeling like you are overwhelmed by a to-do list. So if you have a question related to this or anything that I talk about here on the podcast, then you can actually leave me an audio message and you can ask me your question. You can also do this to leave an audio review if you want to share with me what you're loving about the show. I would love to hear from you. If we get a lot of questions from people, I think it would be fun to air those on the podcast and do an episode or two about like answering questions that are specifically coming from our podcast audience, which I think would be super fun. So if you have a question for me, or like I said, you just want to tell me what you're loving about the show, you can go to speakpipe.com/the routine advantage podcast. The link is also in the show notes, but you just go there. There's an orange button that you hit record and you can talk to me. And if it scares you to leave an audio message, I will reassure you that once you record it, it doesn't just send right away. You do have the option to delete it and re-record if you feel like you need to, but I wouldn't stress about it. I would love to hear from you either way. So if you have a question or you want to leave an audio review for the show, that is a great way to do it. And the link is in the show notes if you need it. So take care, have a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next episode. If you have been dreaming of finding the perfect paper planner, look no further. My favorite paper planner is the Dream Planner by Horatio Printing. They have nice thick pages, so there is no bleed through. There are simple, clean lines, so you can keep it super minimal if that's your style, or you have the space to get really creative if you like doing decorations or washi tape or stickers and all the things. There is enough structure to keep you organized without it being overwhelming. And there are even pages to plan your annual goals and dream and even do a check in each quarter. There are plenty of pages in the back, and this is where I like to track our marriage goals, my cycle, podcast progress throughout the year to keep this podcast going, my annual task list, and even habits that align with my goals. My favorite version is their black leather lay flat version, but you can also get other colors or even the spiral bound version if you are a spiral kind of girl. So I use my Google Calendar for my schedule, but if you have been listening to the podcast long, you know that I use my paper planner to plan out my upcoming week every Friday morning during my morning routine. This is a time that I can see my day stacks, I can plug in my priority tasks for the week and update my habit trackers to see if I am on pace to reach my goals. It is one of my favorite times of the week, and I love my paper planner. It's the only one that I've been able to stay consistently using throughout the entire year, and I love it. So once they sell out, they are gone for good. So you're going to want to grab yours quickly before they are gone if you want one for 2025. You can go to horatioprinting.com. That's HORACIO printing.com and use code Renee15 for 15% off your entire order. That's RENAE15 to get 15% off. You are not going to be sorry, and you will have so much fun planning the year ahead.